Welcome back to the Forward Moves podcast, a place where we talk about all things marketing and operations for fitness businesses. I'm your host, Ash.
And I'm your co-host, Kira. And let's get into the episode of today. Welcome back to this week's episode, guys. This week we have a very special guest with us, whose, spoiler alert, is actually our new business consultant within Forward Moves. So welcome to the podcast, Steph Baker.
Hello, how are you guys?
Welcome
back, I should say.
Back?
Yeah.
You've been on the podcast before.
Yeah. How long ago was that?
That was a year ago.
Was it that long?
Yeah,
Damn,
basically.
that has gone so quickly.
A year ago.
Yeah, because we were actually sitting here when we
Yep.
did it. Yeah, that's right. I remember now.
Yeah, but this is actually the first time of me and you meeting.
Yeah, it's
Face to
so
face.
funny because you said to me this morning in the message, "Oh, I can't wait to meet you actually meet you." I'm like, "We've met." What do you mean?
I was like, no, and you're like, no, you're right. We have not met.
Yeah, it just feels like
seems
it.
like one of those like online
Yeah.
friendships that.
But it just occurred to me that you guys are literally meeting like my whole family tonight.
Yeah, we are. Because actually,
Are you coming with us in the car?
Oh,
Are
maybe.
you coming inside?
Oh, I didn't make. God, you're putting me on the spot here. No, I can. I don't know. Look, my partner's got my car. I have no idea where I'm going to be.
Okay.
So at this point, I'm like a nomad.
Well,
so
if
yeah,
we drive you, there's an event, everyone's just going to be there.
I don't know if I'm in the right attire, but we'll make do.
It's fine.
we can be in it together if I don't get changed.
No one's going to care anyways. Straight in the deep end.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Back on topic. So
I've lost what the word is.
what?
Spoiler.
Spoiler alert.
Cat's out of the bag.
I have no idea what she was going with that.
I have no idea.
You'll get used to that. Look at Kira. I'm like, what was I saying? She's like, I don't know.
I'm trying to read her brain, trying to figure out what word she needs.
Okay, I've got to tell Steph. So you've probably realised already, but I kind of have my own little language when it comes to FM links.
Yes, I've noticed. There's been some things that I've read 6 times and I'm like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
I
Sometimes
type so fast to keep up with my brain. I'm like, they'll just decipher it, right?
Yeah.
So recently my partner has started doing accounts and like, I
no.
sent him a message the other day. I was like, need this done sappy. And he was like, what? He's like, what's sappy? Like, what? And I was like, ASAP. And he was like, I don't know what you're saying. And he keeps asking me to like respell things. I'm like, just get it. Like, just do the job.
it's so funny because sappy is longer than writing ASAP.
Yeah, actually, so true. Do you know what else is bad? If your partner can't figure it out, the rest of us are doomed. We're like,
the other thing as well is like, he was like, I'll do your accounts, I'll start doing your invoices. So I just forwarded him everything and didn't tell him what to do. And he's like, you haven't taught me. I was like, just learn it.
What do you mean?
And he's like, you haven't taught me. I'm like, oh, I don't teach people things. I was like, they figure it
Learn
out
on the
by
fly.
themselves. And I was like, all the girls had to go through this.
You,
and he was like, okay, I'm just going to ask Kira.
We'll have to add you into another chat where sometimes we just send the messages Ash sends to us and goes, help. And we're like, who else knows what this means?
oh God. It's probably easier to not go direct to the source.
Sometimes, because she'll be like, what do you mean? I don't know how else to explain it. And you're like, I'll ask somebody else.
It's like, even especially with design, like Ray can read my mind, and I like will say something to Kels. I'm like, the bubble, and she's like, guys, what's the bubble? What's the bubble?
And Ray's
mean?
like, oh, I know what she means. I know what the bubble is.
Anyways, off topic. So yeah, cat's out of the bag. Steph is now working alongside us as a business consultant in the Business Moves program.
Yep, it's pretty damn cool, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, it's happened so quickly.
Literally, Ash sent me a message one day and was like, because we've known each other for quite some time. So she sent me a message one day and was like, hey, can you jump on a quick call? I'm like, yeah. She's like, sends me the link. Oh, okay, now, right now. Okay.
If Ash says, can you jump on a call?
And I say yes,
the
yeah.
Zoom link comes before you answer. And you're like, I don't have a choice, really.
And I'm like, what is going on here? So we jumped on a call, had a bit of a chat, and I swear it was like 2 weeks later, you went, here's the link to join the platform. And that was it.
It moves fast.
And then I was like, I'll start you online. So I was like, what premiums?
Yeah, I didn't mind that though, because I'm like eager. I'm like ready. I'm raring to go. Yeah.
So for the listeners, we maybe give them like a little bit more context around like what you're doing, what you've done, where you've come from, and then like how you sort of came here. So give a little bit of a brief overview of what you do. And
yeah, okay, cool. So I have been in the fitness industry as a fitness coach for the last 8 years. Was originally a face-to-face coach, then moved online, been online for the last, I'm going to say close to 5 years now, which has flown by. I'm originally from Newcastle, and that's actually where I met Ash because we were living in the same town. And when FM was MA, I was doing VA with you guys, and you guys helped me with like the initial website. I actually remember Ray was the person who did all of the current logos and stuff we have. So it was quite some time ago. And then like we've just hit it off. Like we've been in touch ever since. We went to drag bingo together. Oh my goodness. We had a great time. Do you remember that? Yeah. That was so funny. Anyway, but like my point is we've known each other for a while. So a little while ago, I actually reached out to Ash to get some advice about a business move I wanted to make because I love what I do as a coach and I think it's so important to do what I do. But there's a big gap in the industry that I'm noticing, which is when you are doing your Cert 3 and Cert 4 or any type of qualification to become a coach, that's like what you do. And then you finish the course and there's not really anything after that. And I found in my own journey, I struggled with understanding how to build a business, how to like scale, how to grow, and how to be a better coach. And the other thing that I noticed was that the lack of quality coaching is coming, it's more apparent these days because I think people just don't have that guidance after that Cert 3, Cert 4 or whatever qualification you do. So I decided that I wanted to try and venture out and kind of fill that gap and become a little bit of a mentor for coaches. And like it's a passion of mine because I've learned a lot over the last 8 years around business and what to do, what not to do. I've made so many mistakes. It's actually unbelievable. And I think that it's important to then help bring the level of the industry up. So I reached out to Ash to kind of say, hey, this is what I'm thinking. Can I get some help around just how I can go about this? And then I think it was like 2 months later, you messaged and said, well, actually, we want someone to do that in our BM. And I went, oh, wow, that's like I didn't expect it. And then when we had the conversation, it felt like it was something I should do. So that's kind of how it all came about. Yeah.
Yeah, it just happened so quick.
Yeah. But it was like, I'm a big believer of like, it's meant to be. If it's meant to be, it's meant to be. So when we had that initial conversation and the fact that I was already going in that direction and had started taking on a few coaching clients, I kind of thought, okay, well, I'm going to lean into this, even though it's a bit uncomfortable because it's totally different from anything I've ever done. But like, I truly believe I have a lot of value to give. Mm-hmm. So, and I've got the personality for it. I mean, you even said that. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I'm not a coach.
No. And no one in our team is a coach. Well, I'm like trying to get my Cert 4 done at the moment and I'm struggling.
I think we kind of touched on it in the last episode and I've said it to you multiple times as well, Steph. I'm kind of at that stage in my business journey where I need to get uncomfortable again with greater things.
Yeah.
And I can't do that when I'm on calls constantly and like managing builds constantly. So that's kind of why I took a step back from it.
Yeah. But then when me coming in, I think whilst I'm in that place, so I feel that I can relate to a lot of the problems that current coaches are struggling with. That's also where my passion currently lies. And it's like, yes, I love business. And I've always said this, I say this all the time. There's a very big difference between being a coach and being a business owner. I say that so often because I think a lot of people come into coaching not realize that you actually have to run a business. Yeah. And I fell in love with the business side and I've become a really passionate person around business and how to do it properly. So that is very helpful. But then because I'm in the industry, being able to work with coaches and solve their real-time problems in that way when they're starting out, that's where I'm at. So it's like, I can see that you've been doing that for so long and you're kind of moving into the next level. And I feel like my journey's kind of now falling in behind you, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then being able to have somebody that comes on that also has that background and the business background is just going to be so beneficial to have kind of like the best of both brains for FM.
Yeah, I think. And you know, like you guys are amazing as you are, but you are right. I believe having someone with a coaching background, you can just give a little bit of a different perspective sometimes because, you know, like I've actually been there.
Yeah.
So
really helpful. And it's already been so different, like having you in some of the builds as well and like seeing your perspective come in and all of that sort of thing. So like there's just already like some really cool things happening in the builds.
Yeah. Already heaps of changes.
And seeing your advice.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been very cool.
Which is great because the business moves run as it is because that's just the way it runs.
Yeah.
But I came into it, right? And I'm like, because I see the way you guys do things in the back end, and I'm like, holy shit. You've got it nailed. Like the systems, the process, the way that it runs. I just, like, anyone who goes into the builds, and we get the feedback all the time, they can't believe how smooth it is to just, and the flows, it's just incredible.
Did the flow shock you, like the portal?
Yeah, because you explained to me what it would be like, and once I saw it, I went, oh, quite literally, the system tells you where you're up to, what step you're up to, what the coaches need, and it's just so much better than anything I've really seen, because I haven't seen a system like that before. So it was like a good shock, because it allowed me to understand that this is actually something that we can keep on top of, and obviously that's going to make the experience better for the client too.
Yeah, because you had the experience of being on Slack when we were working with our customers on Slack.
Oh my God,
and it was like constantly like, where are we up to in the build? What are we doing? Like,
it was really
I
hard.
forgot
really
all about
constant,
that.
yeah,
we were too. And it was just a matter of constantly keeping that communication open, which I mean, we do anyway, but it's just a whole different ballgame now.
Yeah, it's so good. I find that although we speak systems, like we're very systemized ourselves, which is good with that portal.
Yeah.
So it's also really helped the girls, because we found there was a lot of like times where it was just like so much admin and like, what am I up to? And now the girls just have a checklist and they just work
they
through
know
it.
where they're at. Like from a management side of the build makes it so much easier, because I can see what hasn't been done, what's coming up, what needs to happen. Where like before we just had like a spreadsheet checklist, and then the chat was there, and then we were replying to messages and then checking the spreadsheet, and then
that's wild to me, because I'm thinking in my head, because I'm already so like things need to be a certain way. I honestly would have probably had a meltdown.
Yeah.
If I'd come in and it was like that, only because first of all, I friggin' hate spreadsheets. Like, spreadsheets can go die. I hate spreadsheets so much.
Spreadsheet.
No, I can't stand it. But then on the back end of that, if you've got shit everywhere and you don't actually know who's up to what, that would kill me.
Yeah. Although, have you noticed the trends with the builds? Like, you've probably started to notice that, like, you just get hammered with work for like 2 weeks, and then it's like, oh.
Yeah, and all of a sudden I'm like, where did everyone go?
It's so weird. And like we've all spoken about, we can stagger start clients, and they all start at a different time, and somehow they're all on the same step at the same day, and you're like, how?
This was actually me last week. I forgot, I didn't mention this to you because I was like, this is what I signed up for, it's fine. But I was like, I had 5 digital marketing to do. I had 5 of them, all fall in the same week, and then I'm like, what the hell is happening?
I can't tell you how it happens. I don't know how or why. I've got like 7 app builds at once, and I was like, what? And then Ash was on a call, someone was like, we'll be starting your app build this week, and I was like, no. But it's, I was like,
that's so
I'm always
funny.
like on a call and I look over and she's like, don't.
There's 2 more steps in between my app setup. Thank you very much.
Literally always happens. Like, everyone just gets hammered in one phase.
And then you're like, okay, you pump them, you get them all out, and then you're like, oh, this is great. This is lovely on this side. And then the other person's like, why did you do this?
I can just picture you guys in the office. One person's like at the keyboard and the other one's just sitting there, like nothing to do. That is such an interesting dynamic.
I'm like scrolling on TikTok and Kira's like,
I put my earphones in the other day and I was like, nobody talked to me. And then my music started playing out from my laptop, and Ash was like, are you listening to hardstyle? And I was like, yeah.
How can you work to that?
It makes me work so fast.
No way, really?
It's like, I'm like, working hard. Like,
that's Kira's ADHD. But normally, like, Kira and I talk a lot throughout the week, but she's been silent this week. I'm like, are you all right? She's like, busy.
Sorry, yeah.
She's like, okay, God. I leave you, babe. I was like, if you ask me to do anything else, I'm going to die.
Hey, can you just do this for me?
And I'm like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, add it to the never-ending to-do list.
But my problem is also like, I'll just do that. Or like somebody asks me a question, I'm like, I'll get it done now, so that like I don't have to think about it, and I get it done. And then all of a sudden I'm doing 12 other tasks for others, and I'm like, and I haven't done anything I was meant to do today, but I'm like, and then I'll say something to you and you're like, welcome to management. And I'm like, damn it.
A couple of weeks ago, I think it might have been a couple of months ago, Kira was like, my role's starting to get hard.
How did you respond to that?
I was like, welcome.
You were like, yeah.
Because, like, obviously, like, we exhaust our resources a lot. And, like, Kira's role has kind of been building to get to that point. She's like, okay, yeah.
I feel it now.
Because, like, when you put it into, like, hindsight, we only work 4.5 days.
Yeah, when you said that to me, I thought, damn, that's a really good way to do things because, well, it just is.
The girls love it.
The reason is because.
Well, honestly, like, who can concentrate after 12 o'clock on a Friday? Like,
No, that's so true.
And so
I
we
tap
just like
out.
make our weekdays a little bit longer. And then you get a half day Friday and then
it's like a 3-day weekend.
Yeah, that's
Great.
really
And then,
so helpful.
like, we also do podcasting as well. So, like, we're out of the office a couple more days, and, like, it all builds up after a while.
Yeah.
We're coming into public holiday season.
Yeah, it's public holiday season in Queensland over
Is it?
like
Easter,
April.
there's, like, it'll be, like, a 5-day month.
okay, can we just get this straight now? Public holidays suck.
Okay, but
Because you just literally, like, you were in front and now you're behind. Every
we
time.
actually had a conversation in a team meeting not that long ago, and I said to Ash, I was like, look, can we just as a collective group space out our public holidays a little bit more, because we get like 6 in April.
and all the girls were like,
Yeah.
that is, like, the worst time. So we'll, like, let's just pick Fridays
I'm
or,
like,
like,
can we
Thursdays.
just? I was like, can I just
across
like
the
move
year.
them around the year and I'll work those couple of days? Like,
Yeah.
Because I think it was last April, we only had a 2-week month. And it was honestly
That's insane.
the worst time.
I actually don't think New South Wales would have that. Why do you guys have so many public
Queensland
holidays?
has 3 more than New South Wales somehow.
oh, yeah, it's a good time as an employee, but
Oh, yeah,
it makes
great.
workload really hard.
I love it. I love it so
but-
much. But yeah, I think we're going to spread them out.
Maybe.
So, like, we can have some longer weekends here
I
and
don't know if
there.
that's legal, but like we'll be taking them if
You guys will
any
be signing
government
a
is
contract.
listening. But
We're getting off topic.
I was going to say we should probably actually get into like the main reason of the.
Well, I forgot what it was. I was about to ask.
It's Friday afternoon, guys.
It is after 12, so
We wanted to do a bit of a Q&A to, like, get the community engaged and, you know, get Steph up there answering some questions so you can kind of get a vibe. Obviously, you guys know how I work, which is eerily similar to the way that you work.
Yeah, I would say it's pretty much the same.
I find it so funny, though, because Steph and I, like, send each other things and I'm like, is this too blunt? She's like, no. And then Kira's like, that's really blunt.
Yeah. Actually, that happened once and I was like, it's not. I would go harder than that. I think I actually said that to you. And, well, I did because then I sent you a screenshot of an email I sent to someone and you were like, damn.
I was like, holy shit.
even like I have to say to the team sometimes if they're a bit riled up, I'm like, do you want to send me a message first and I'll have a read over it before it gets sent, because like we might need to add some fluff.
Oh, man.
But okay, so I have a couple of questions that were sent through, so we're just gonna get both of your guys' opinions on it, really. So first cab off the rank is, what are your thoughts on having a wait list as a coach?
I'm in two minds about this. I feel like it depends on where you're actually at in your business. Because if you're like a sole trader, or you're just someone who works on your own and you genuinely don't have any more space, what are you going to do with those people who inquire? So I think like it has its purpose, but I've personally not used it, because instead of having a wait list, I just hire another coach to help me so I can take on more capacity.
It's very entrepreneurial of you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I agree. I think if someone has to, I always say this, but like, for example, if you go to get a massage, you're going to go to the first person that responds to you, and coaching's the same situation. So if you have a wait list, you have to weigh the fact that they're going to go elsewhere.
Yeah, but the good thing about it is that you are still getting their details for like email marketing and all of that stuff. And also, if they really like your vibe, when a spot does become available, you can still reach out. But you are right. Like, if there's no space available and they want to coach now, they've probably, like, you're not the only person they've inquired to anyway. So they're just going to go to the next person. That's why I think it has its place. But as I said, I'm just very much like, if there's a wait list, I mean, I need to hire, or I need to open up more spots somehow, because that means that I'm losing out on business and I'm not okay with that.
Would you say it could be something worth looking into, having like, if you don't already have like a medium or low ticket offer that they could like get started with? Would you say that, or would you just be like, no, because they're looking for?
Yeah, again, it depends. Like, I think you definitely can offer that like for example, in my own business, we have a low ticket offer. The issue with that though is the retention on that low ticket offer is a lot less because it's not exactly what they want. So, you know, for example, if someone comes to me and asks for customized training and nutrition with a meal plan, and I say, I don't have that, but I've got a, you know, low ticket app membership, that's not going to give them what they want. But a lot of the time as well, when people inquire, they don't really know what they're looking for anyway. Because if you've got 3 or 4 different services on your page or on your website, they're inquiring about one of those services. So you may be able to convince them to go into the low ticket, but it's all comes back to the initial conversation you have.
Yeah.
Just get them to join the email marketing list and blast it as much as you can. It's really hard one. It's different from business to business. So
yeah, it is, because it depends on where you're at, right? Like, and what works for one may not work for another. But when I just, every time I keep going back to when I see someone with a wait list, I go, why? Why are we not hiring someone to take that workload? I just don't understand it.
Yeah, so I actually had a question about this. How do you scale as an online coach? And I feel like there's a lot of confusion around what scaling actually is. And because growing is obviously business getting bigger, but growing your business gets bigger and you spend more. Scaling is increasing your profit without increasing your baseline.
Yeah.
And I had a conversation about this with someone, and if you don't want to have a wait list and you don't want to hire, the only thing that you can do is turn your brand into a luxe feel and increase your prices.
Yeah.
To bring that wait list down.
That's so true. Because
I don't understand that though. Like, so
you're not going to be the top of everyone's list, because if your prices are increasing, chances are there's going to be less and less people that are willing to
Do you want
pay
extra
that.
income?
Yeah.
yeah.
So say your capacity is 50 clients, right, at like $70 a week. What's that, $3,000 a week? I don't know. Really bad at math. And they're like, I really don't want to hire. I love working alone. There's a couple of sacrifices you need to make in order to have that luxury of being the only coach. So one, it's okay, now you need to do a bit of a rebrand, make a luxe feel, increase your prices by $20, $30 a week. It will keep your capacity there, but it might boost your income by an extra $2,000 a week.
Okay.
And then people won't be on that wait list, because if you, and like that would be another strategy. It's like make your prices available to bring down that wait list.
Yeah, like online for people to see.
People can like see it.
Yeah.
So they'll only inquire if they're willing to make that investment.
Like if I was to ask you, would you join someone's wait list for coaching or not?
If I really wanted to work with them, then I would, but yeah, probably not.
I don't think, is there anyone, I mean, there might be, but is there anyone out there that really genuinely is so set on one coach that they won't go elsewhere? Because even as a coach, I wouldn't think so.
No.
You know?
I'd probably find somebody that does something similar
Yeah.
or works similar.
That's the thing that I really perceive it. The only people joining a wait list are the people that don't want to pay more, because they know that other coaches charge more. So if you actually increase your prices, make them public, create a luxe feel, educate yourself and bring yourself higher up, you can make double the amount of money with the same amount of customers.
Yeah,
Like
okay.
that is the way that you need to look at that, scaling the business in that model.
Yeah.
There's so many different ways to scale.
But also when you said that, it actually brings to mind a point. I noticed this with a lot of coaches and actually in recent conversations, where they're too busy looking at the numbers of clients they have as their means for success. So I think when you come to scaling a business or growing a business, you've got to figure out what success looks like for you. I don't personally think that the number of clients you have is what is going to create that success. It's how can you function in that business? It's what sort of profit are you making? It's what deliverables are you able to provide that client? And I think when people are too busy focusing on, I just need more clients, it takes away from what the end result is that you're trying to get.
Oh, I love that.
was really
I
good.
really struggle with this because I hate posting customer numbers. It's not a form of marketing that I enjoy, but it's a form of marketing that our consumers take in. So it's why we do it. But like I've even had this discussion with you recently, and it's like FM's obviously quite successful. It's at a point where it runs well, and there are ways to make it more profitable. Like obviously there's lots of ways, but I was saying I don't know if I was saying it to you or Ray, I was like, FM's also my quality of life.
Yeah.
Like I like going to work. I love having my team around. Like that's my life. Like 40 hours a week, that's who I'm seeing. Like that's success to me, that I can choose my team, enjoy my time, have a good business. Like success wouldn't be working alone and making heaps of money to me, because what's the point?
Well, that's right. Yeah. And it comes back to hierarchy of values.
Yeah.
And that's something that if you don't know what your values are, you need to go do that, because it's going to quite literally coincide with what you work towards as goals.
Yeah. And we all love money, but
Yeah.
You've got to make sacrifices to get to luxury.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
I had I know we have so many more questions that we're like saying on this first one for a
That's
while,
why
but
I only put like 8 questions in. I was like,
we'll be here for 4 hours.
The only other thought that popped into my head as well. So like instead of having a wait list or like not increasing your capacity and wanting to hire a coach, would you say like making sure that you have other coaches in the industry that you trust that you can like then just forward them on to?
That's good. I think that's helpful too because, you know, and I have a relationship with that. One of the coaches that used to work for me, she's ventured out into her own space as a running coach now. The great relationship with that is we're not directly competing against each other, but we do refer on. And the great thing is if she has space or if I have space, it kind of swings at roundabouts. So, and also it's nice to have that sort of network.
Yeah.
I feel like collaboration is such a weak point in this industry.
Oh yeah.
It builds so much trust as well. If someone comes to you and you go, I'm actually not the right fit for you, but like this person, I'll be like, oh wow. And then
Like,
if it
thank you
came
so
up
much, yeah.
and somebody else I knew was interested in like having a coach that you would be suited for, I'd be like, oh, go see her. Like she actually said like I wouldn't be a fit, but you'd fit, like kind of thing. Yeah.
And, you know, it's going to be all round happy days because the client's going to be happier, the coaches will be happier, and it's not going to be as cutthroat.
Yeah, and if you take them on, it's probably going to be the worst experience of your life if you don't specialize in their area.
For them and for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another thing on a wait list that I just lost my train of thought now, and I was going to say something about it. I can't remember what I was going to say. That's what I was going to say. As kind of on like the topic of like sacrifices and luxuries, if you only want to be an independent coach, then you need to sacrifice admin fees, marketing fees to free up them jobs so you can take on more clients to have a limited wait list.
Yeah.
Like if you only want to coach, that's totally fine. Like that probably relates to a lot of people in this industry. I just want to coach. Well, then hire marketing help, hire admin help, hire accounts help, get rid of everything that you don't need to do so you can be a coach. But then you have to accept that you're going to be paying $1,000 a week.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to say. Either way, you're still going to have some sort of team. Like the person that wears all the hats forever is not going to take any steps forward. It's not like you can't be a master of all trades. I've tried that. Trust me, it doesn't work.
Oh, yeah. Why do you think FM exists?
Literally.
Well, actually talking about like looking at hiring or if you should hire leads us into another question of contractors versus employees. As a coach, I've done both.
Yeah.
And so I think I can give a little bit of good insight into this. So I initially, when I first hired, I hired a contractor. Positives about hiring contractors, and I've actually hired a few since my first. Positives of hiring a contractor is definitely that it, you know, it flows throughout the year as you are busy, as you maybe aren't as busy. Like you have a bit of flexibility there because if you say have client cancellations or you go through a quiet period, which we all go through, there is a little bit of wiggle room with the hours that you can give the coach or the person you're putting on. So that's really helpful from a stress perspective, particularly if you're like, you don't have a whole lot of money to allocate.
Yeah, so if your business is going slow, you actually don't have to pay the person.
Yeah, that's right. And then the other part that's really good about contractors as well is there is an ability for them to then take on their own clients and almost have their own kind of style and way of coaching underneath you. And I think that's really good for collaboration. As for employing, I think that's also really beneficial in the sense that, you know, they're there, they're on your team, they're part of your team. You can give them clients. The issues that I've faced personally with this though, we all know in the coaching space that we work however many hours we work, but general population of people are before work and after work. So outside of the hours of 9 to 5. And if you're hiring a coach as an employee and they're working a 9 to 5 or they're working even a half day or whatever, they're not then around when the clients are messaging in the app or they're needing to have one-on-one calls with you or they're just needing that one-on-one support or whatever. And so the issue that I ran into there was that I had coaches that might finish at say like 4 p.m. But then between the hours of 4 and 7 p.m. when, you know, things were happening and there was a lot of movement because everyone had finished work, I was then double handling by having to take over. And that was really frustrating because you just have to kind of work with the way of the world. And that is that people do expect you to kind of be available when they're available. So that comes back to boundary setting, but also just the double handling was ridiculous.
Employment law doesn't really suit the new model of work, hey?
No.
Like the flexibility of it.
No, not at all. So yeah, I think that was the biggest thing for me is like, would I hire a contractor or would I employ? I personally wouldn't employ a coach again because I ran into so many issues there with, as I said, like just the issues of, and this is the other thing, like coaches know that they can make more money when they go out on their own. So when you're paying someone like $30-$35 an hour, a bit of resentment can build over time, which I had the experience with. Because they're seeing that, you know, the client might be paying $90, but they're doing meal plans, training programs, check-ins, and they're only making 30, 35. It's like, I want my coaches to be on my team and to be able to give my clients the best support and really give it everything they've got. And when they're just earning an standard hourly wage, there's not really an incentive for that. Whereas as a contractor coming into the business, someone who works alongside you is able to put their own spin on things while staying within your business structure. There's a lot more passion in it, and they're able to provide more support for the clients. But also, if you run it right and you do incentives, it works really well.
Yeah, definitely. And that's the thing. A lot of people don't want to run their own business. A lot of people have tried to run their own business and don't want to do it as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really, I think that you should employ like full-time admin and marketing rather than contract.
I agree. Yeah.
But yeah, not coaching.
Yeah. I think I would 100% agree with that.
Do you think employment makes culture more positive?
I think it depends. Like, because you got to lead from the front. I don't think it personally has anything to do with employment versus contracting. I think it's what systems do you have in place and how do you actually manage a team? Like if you're at the forefront of it and you can't manage it, then no one's going to be able to do what you want them to do anyway.
Yeah. Fair.
Well, I feel like things that you guys are talking about like leads into another question because like you're talking about like hiring parts of people on your team. So when would you actually when is a good time in your journey to hire a business coach?
I think, again, luxury sacrifices for luxuries. Like, I will literally sing this till the cows come home. You have to sacrifice money if you want speed. There is a lot of emphasis in the business coaching world on how to show up on socials and to grow that brand, but there's not a lot of emphasis on sustainability of that brand and how long it can actually be around for.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of emphasis on customer numbers, social media followers, showing up online, getting heaps of customers overnight versus it's going to be a little bit slower. But we're going to build a sustainable business that you can actually come out of.
Yeah, and also just make sure that you're doing your research. I'm not saying don't go to business coach. I actually think everyone should at some point get some sort of business coach. But I'm just saying you need to be careful who you go to because not everyone's qualified to do the job.
I 100% agree. I was thinking the other day about what kind of failures I've had in business. And truly, 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 you can probably attest to this. The last year we've really had none. Like we've had mini failures.
Yeah.
But I attest it to the fact that I've got someone there that I can just go to and say, hey, can I do this?
I
And
would
they're
say
no.
they're not really probably not like failures, but just like pivots because we were like, oh no, let's stop doing that.
Yeah, that didn't work. But nothing major, and I know I'm really blessed to say this, but like no huge customer dips or like things like it's just having that peace of mind, having someone there too that you're paying for.
Because you've had a good quality coach.
But you have to sometimes you have to do the trial and error to get there. I've worked with coaches, business coaches that I would never go back to. I've also worked with a couple that I would go back to. You just have to be very careful because the amount of crazy stories I've heard and people getting stung or it's not what you think it's going to be or people are just super underqualified to do the job.
I think
so
also,
shitty.
There's that side of it as well, but there's also the other side of a business coach is not going to do your work for you.
Oh, absolutely.
And there's so many comments around it's not what I thought it was going to be because you didn't make it like that. And it's flipping the script into fitness. You can give your customer a plan, but if they don't do it, they're not going to get the results that they want. If you're acting like that with a business coach and your customers are acting like that, where's the energy drawn?
Yeah.
That's the reason why. I will always die on that hill too.
You're dying on a lot of hills lately.
But it's you actually physically, if you want to run a business is not easy. Oh my God, it is not easy.
Yeah.
And again, sacrifices for luxury as well.
Yeah, but in terms of like when do you get a business coach, I think the best time to get a business coach or a consultant or just get any type of help in that space is for a couple of reasons. Number one, you're putting all the work in, you know that you're doing all the things you know, but you feel like you're not growing or that you've got some stagnancy. I think also if you're struggling with doing things on your own, if you have no one to bounce off, you're getting like your creativeness is gone, or you may be even struggling with your mindset a little bit because things are feeling quite deep. And lastly, if you're wanting more, but you don't know where to start to get more.
I would say give yourself a good 3 months on your own. I feel like that's the beauty in business, like being through that frustrating phase of trying to figure it out. It's good, but you have to have savings behind you.
Yeah.
Sure.
That's so true, because if you just like put it out on the table and you've got nothing to fall back on, you've got to be very smart with your investments. And I again learnt this the hard way multiple times before I actually learnt it. But also I think a lot of people will go, okay, I need this now, and then just like tap their card. And the thing that I've actually found really difficult about business is, particularly in the beginning, learning how to manage my finances and where is all my money actually going. Once you learn that, it's a lot easier to put things aside to then, grow in the way that you want to.
Do you think it's important to do some time on your own, in your own business, before you get help?
Yeah, because you don't know what you actually are struggling with. So how do you know what help you need?
Yeah.
Absolutely. You got to wing it. It's part of the journey.
Because that's the thing, like you might get, 3 months, 6 months, 12 months down the line and then go, oh, okay, well, I'm really good at this. I think that these are the issues that I'm facing in my business. Oh, I don't actually need a business coach for that. I need an accountant. Or I don't need a business coach for that. I need another coach to come on and help me. It's like, how do you diagnose the problem? If you just rush to it, you may end up diagnosing the wrong problem, and then you're trying to rush towards and chase the wrong solution, which will just leave you stuck in the same place you're in now.
Yeah. Love that.
Nothing changes.
All right. Well, next question. How do you handle clients who abruptly leave?
Bye.
I feel like you and I are going to have separate opinions on this. You go.
I think it's really dependent on where you're up to in your journey. It's also case dependent as well. So for example, if you have someone sign up that's just changed their mind, it's really important to enforce it and say, this is a business, you've signed a contract, you either pay it out or you stay with me for the period. And then if there's obviously like an injury or something that's withholding them from actually doing the program, then it's really good to have leniency because they may come back to your program. I also, when I get asked this question a lot, I also do case by case. I look at like their behavior in the messages, like what are they like? Are they going to be a prolonged difficult client? Are they already being difficult? Like, for example, I'll always see trends of people who cancel at the second week are always like, where's my program? What's this? Why is this not working? Like within the first couple of days. And if I see that in the messages, I'll just say to the coach, that's your loss. Cop that loss because it's not going to be worth your mental health for the first 12 weeks kind of thing. So I'm always case by case, but I also think it's very dependent on where they're at in their journey. But in saying that, I do have another client and we always use reverse psychology on our clients. That sounds really, really bad. But basically when a client's like, I'm up to week 6, I don't want to do it anymore, I always just get her to do a little bit of reverse psychology. And it's like, for example, if they've missed check-ins for 4 weeks and they're coming to the end of their minimum commitment, stop doing their check-ins. Because if you stop doing it, it's probably going to like click them into action and be like, oh shit, I need to stay with my coach. So like we do the reverse psychology a little bit.
Yeah.
That's the way I manage it.
Yeah, I agree with all of that. I agree with all of it. I think it is definitely case by case dependent. And I do believe there comes a time, as you just said, where it's taking up too much of your mental capacity and your energy to keep them on, particularly because like the downside to this is what does actually happen if you have issues with a client who wants to cancel, doesn't pay their contract, has constant overdue fees, blah, blah, blah. Like I've been on both sides. I've told clients you can get lost and you're not welcome back. I've also taken people to like debt collections. So I've been on both ends where I've kind of gone like, this is not worth it. And then I've been on the other end where I'm like, you know what? No, I am going to take you to debt collection. Look, I can be petty. So
I love a little petty moment, to be honest. I'm so petty. I feel like sometimes I say things and the team will be like, you're such a petty bitch. And I'm like, yes.
But look, I want to be very clear about this. I'm not petty just because I can be. I mean, I partially am. I won't lie. But I'm also petty.
I know myself.
Yeah, all too well. But I'm also like this because I have standards. I have high standards.
Yeah.
I also have boundaries, and I think that there's an element of respect that's required when you come into a coaching service. Because at the end of the day, if I have a client, and this is, I'm being real when I say this, if I have a client who is being aggressive, speaking rudely, speaking down to me, blaming me, and not taking any responsibility for their own actions, and I've had this a couple times, constant late payments, you bet your ass I'm going to take you to debt collection because you're not respecting me, you're not respecting my business, my company, and all of the hard work I've put in. So therefore, I'm going to treat you with the same respect you're treating me, hence debt collection. And I'm not doing anything wrong because you signed a contract. But I've also had times where there's been clients who have been nice about their approach, have explained their situation and circumstances. And I'm pretty straightforward in the sense that if you signed a contract, too bad. Like, and this is just how I am. Like, if you signed a 12-week agreement, you have to uphold that 12-week agreement. If you're injured, if you've had an issue happen in your family, if something's gone wrong, I will accommodate you the best I can, but you still need to stay on for the 12 weeks, the minimum term. Now, this doesn't mean that I'm being crazy about it and not letting them have any leniency. I have things that I do to support them during that time, like pause periods, reducing package options to something different. You know, like I had a girl actually yesterday who said that she's been made redundant. And I'm like, I can relate to that in the sense that that would be very stressful. How can we reduce your package or have you pay it off over a longer period of time? Like, how can I help you while still upholding your contract? Because if I let it go for one person, then I have to let it go for others. And, you know, there might be coaches out there that disagree with that and say, well, no, we need to be lenient. But like, how lenient do you want to be before it affects your business? Because when I look at business, I look at it from like a different lens. I look at business from a perspective of, I've had that client in, they're on week 6 of week 12. I've projected that they're going to be with me for 12 weeks. Now this is affecting where we go next in the business to bring more clients in and onboard more clients. It affects our capacity. It affects the coaches I'm paying to do the workload. So there's more that goes into it than just like let them go or not. Yeah. So I think you just need to be mindful of where you are at in business. But if it takes too much energy, like sometimes you just have to cut it loose as well. I have done that a few times.
I've done that.
That's really great insight and suggestion to all of that as well. And I feel like that also coincides with like having an actual cancellation policy in place as well, because it's the projection. It's knowing that somebody's going to be with you for X amount of time, for X amount of weeks longer. And so many coaches will be like, oh, when somebody wants to cancel, I just like let them go. And I'm like, how are you managing finances that way as well?
Yeah, I don't really understand it. Like, I mean, and again, like everyone runs their businesses differently. And I think like I look at it from a very different lens and a very different headspace, probably a lot like you would relate to. Because I look at my business kind of from like an outsider looking down, and I'm looking at where is all of the elements and where are we going and what's happening in the business as a whole. I'm not just looking at that one individual client. I'm looking at how does that affect everything else. I'm looking at, okay, where do we need to go next to resolve this issue? But I'm also looking at how do I create the best experience for this customer so that they want to come back? I'll always be looking at all of those elements. If you're a sole trader, if you're by yourself, if you don't have those overheads, coaches to pay, staff to pay, I think you can be a little bit more lenient because you don't have as much to lose. But then if you're wanting to scale, it's better to set those boundaries now, because otherwise you're still going to act like that when you do have staff members.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really good. I like that. Amazing. Okay. Is it bad to discount my coaching services?
Yes.
Yeah, I think I've evolved. I'll say that much.
Yeah, I agree.
I think the landscape for the past few years has allowed it, and like it's definitely been advice that we've given to people. But I think now we're coming into a landscape of that's incredibly unfair for your customers who are paying full price.
Yep. That's exactly the direction I was going to take it. And also, you're undervaluing yourself if you're discounting. Like, and hear me out with this, because it depends on the reason for the discount, right? Because sometimes it can be beneficial, I suppose. But where I think a lot of coaches discount their offers is out of scarcity because they're not getting clients in. So then they're discounting their offers in order to get new clients in and new leads. But then in turn, you're undervaluing yourself and also probably attracting the wrong clients into your business.
And you're not solving your problem by doing that.
No, because then what do? Once that happens, then it's going to happen again. And so you're not learning how to actually like have better lead generation over discounting.
It's better off to discount a product, not a service.
Yeah, I agree with
that. So like discount a low ticket offer, like a low ticket, no touch, that's fine. But wow. My brain just went, what? Services, no. I'm not like, and look, there has been periods of time where FM has discounted, and I know this is like a different world for sure. With the discounts that we ran, we were actually implementing price increases. So if they were coming on, we were discounting it, but we're actually increasing the price. So it's the last time you were able to get it for that price.
Yeah.
It wasn't a discount. It was like the old price before we increased.
Yeah.
So it was like get in before it goes up.
And like I've always been really careful with that of how much have our customers paid? Are the next batch going to get it for cheaper? If so, we're not running that. It's always got to be like, if they signed on for X amount and a customer approached me, it's like, oh, well, you know, the price went up. They actually paid this amount. And they're like, okay, cool. Like, they don't get mad about it.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of it. I think there's many ways to do it. For example, if you're launching a new business, and let's just say you are currently charging $50 a week, going through the rebrand, you're increasing. Holy shit, it's Friday, isn't it? If you're increasing to $70 a week, run a foundational offer like the middle, $60 a week for 5 clients kind of thing. That way you're not cutting yourself short, but you're kind of running a discount.
Do you think it would be good to do something like showcasing what your prices will be as well, so like people aren't like...
I think buyers are getting way too smart because it's a shame it's getting so oversaturated in the industry of like, this is the price and now this is what it's going to be, or like X spots left. I feel like that's been used in such a fear-based tactic now.
Yeah,
more so if you're launching a new business and you're like, these are my prices, but because it's new, it's going to be this.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Not like it's going up, that like fear mongering, like it's like the new business.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that as long as you're not cutting yourself short. Because if you're going backwards, what's the point of doing it?
Would you say, okay, so like talking about like not really discounting your services, but if you have different, maybe this is probably a better question. We can discuss it in more detail in our next Kickstarter chat about offers, but would you offer a discount for a pay in full price if you have it on offer? Or would it just be...
I think it depends. I don't know, because like, what's the benefit to that?
I mean, if you think of it as a 10% thing, say you charge 10% takes $120 off, it's $10 a week that you're discounting kind of thing. I'm a really big fan of product buying at the moment. I think pay in full has a buy-in. And there's pros and cons, you know.
Yeah.
Pay in full, you've got them guaranteed for 3 weeks with a discount. But then what does it look like afterwards?
Well, that's what I was about to say. My issue with that is like, sure, you give them a discount, but then how is the retention after they finish that period? Because they're like, the thing that I love about like a 12-week contract where they're paying weekly is that when it comes up to the end of that contract, there's less likelihood of them turning around and being like, oh, I'm done. Because like they don't have to pay again.
So it's a $2,000 customer instead of a $6,000 customer.
Yeah, that's right. So it's kind of like then if you're discounting on that and then they don't even stay past the 12 weeks, you've actually lost money.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
Case by case.
yeah, I feel like a lot of this is.
Okay, a bit of a change up, but why are the macros on the recipes different to in a tracking app like MyFitness?
Is this FM recipes?
Yeah, I think as well, this is a question a lot of coaches would get from their customers.
Yeah.
So we might as well answer it on the podcast. So our recipes are... I'm staring at me. I'm like, ah. So if you are part of our membership, you've got our recipes, you would know that the macros do vary a little bit. The calories do vary. And it's because we literally send everyone emails nearly every week about it because it's stressful. But I'm going to let Steph explain it because I'm not the nutritionist here.
Well, I thought this was common knowledge.
It's not.
And the issue that I'm facing is that it's not common knowledge.
Can we just preface that the recipe book is based on protein plus carb plus fat equals calories.
Yeah, I think our recipe books also include the
yours
fiber.
include fiber too.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's based on that because that's what our customers voted on, and we've got a little disclaimer on our barcode.
Yes, that they
You actually do. Yeah.
that they include fiber in the calories.
and there's a disclaimer page as well.
Yes, and we understand that it varies from coach to coach of what they include versus don't include. So yeah, that's why it can vary pretty much.
I think this question can come across with like if you give a customer a meal plan, they put it into MFP, they're like, why isn't it the same?
Yeah, but the reason for this, and as I said, I thought this was common knowledge, but also, guys, it's okay if you didn't know because I don't know everything either. Just wanted to highlight that.
Don't come at me.
Yeah,
Please. You should know.
No, but in all seriousness, like, so fiber accounts for, like, fiber is part of the carbohydrate group, right? So what happens is when we add fiber into your recipe and into the calculation, it's going to boost the calories up slightly. And when you don't have recipes with the fiber content, it's going to bring that back down. So whilst, yes, technically it's protein plus fats plus carbs equals calories, if you're bringing either alcohol calories or even like fiber into it, it's going to just make those overall percentages a little bit different.
Yeah, and MyFitnessPal is American database.
Yeah.
And America tracks fiber as 4 calories
Yeah.
in MFP.
But I don't think it's just MyFitnessPal, don't they do that in others as well?
It's worse in MyFitnessPal, like the inconsistent. Like we have done some research on
And it just depends,
this.
like if yours, what like entry you're selecting, who's put it in, what information they've put in, like because you can put in calories and then you could also add in like fiber, but you haven't put it in the calories, but the fiber's there, and like so unless you've entered it yourself off of the barcode of each food ingredient.
That's the thing. Like when we make the recipes on MFP, let's just say it's 500 calories, right? Because the entry has attested to sugar, alcohols and fiber, and it's added it all in. And then if we put it into the ebook, it might be 440 calories because on the ebook, as per voted from our customers, we do the protein plus carbs plus fat calculation. When we did it the other way, everyone was emailing us and being like, the macros are wrong on the ebook. And we're like, no, it's the MFP macros. So now we've changed it. There's been less conversation, but when you scan it, that's the inconsistency in it, which is now even worse. So Lisa sent me a video and it actually baffled me. So when she went to put the recipe in, she actually if she puts fiber into the recipe and you scan it, it might come up as 300 calories, but when you click OK, it'll pop up as 320 calories because the recipe doesn't include the fiber calories.
Well, why? That doesn't make sense.
So poor Lisa's beside herself because
so
obviously
like MyFitnessPal goes, oh, you missed 20 calories by the fiber.
It's like, oh, you've made a recipe. I'm not going to add fiber, but when you click OK, I'm going to add it. It's
it's backwards, isn't it?
It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
It's like a recent update, but that's the reason why they're a little bit different, and that is the reason why. I mean, I feel so weird saying this because I'm not a coach, but if you're giving your customer macros based on your protein, carbs, and fat, like the simple stuff for your Gen Pops, and then they're tracking it, there's always going to be inconsistencies.
Yeah, but also just wanted to like finalize this by saying that overall, calories and macros are averages anyway. Everything is based off an average. And if you're to the T, you're going to run into issues anyway because like you can't even confirm 100% that an ingredient is the amount of calories it says it is. Like everything's based on averages. And I think like as long as you get as close as possible, something I say to my coaches and my clients is, you know, if you're kind of like 10 calories either side or if you're like 10 grams either side, you're in a good spot. Anything outside of that, you kind of start to question, we might be a little bit too far off the targets, but everything's based on averages anyway. And usually throughout the week, it starts to average itself out if you have like a high day and a low day and whatever.
Yeah.
So,
But that's the reason why, guys.
Yeah.
We try, all right? We are really big on quality here and we like have meltdowns over this week.
Trying your best, okay? Okay, so I think I only have one more question on here and I might need some clarification because I don't really know this. It's like the evolution on socials 13 months I don't know what that extra note means.
That's me having my language.
Yeah.
That
Oh,
was
this
the
was a question-
evolution of social media.
Yeah, this was a question that I got.
I was like, what does the 13 months come from?
Yeah. Did you know you had 13
1
minutes?
to 3 months?
No,
Anyway,
this
so-
was a question that I got, and it was with the evolution of social media. Like, is there any predictions that we have for how socials are going to go over the next 12 months? So, I think where she was coming from with this one is like in regards to the type of post, the way we post, whether we're doing more personal brand versus business brand. That's kind of the way I'm interpreting that one. So
Yeah, which we did cover quite a bit on our first episode back for the year.
Yeah,
we kind of did like
called, like-
our predictions and what we want to see in the industry and what we think is coming and all that sort of stuff. So that might be like a good insight into like what me and you think is coming, Ash. But is there anything, Steph, that you think you might see more, or what do you like want to see more, or what do you want to see less of?
God, there's so many answers to that question.
Sorry, actually like 5
What do you
questions.
want to see less of? Sorry, guys. What do you want to see less of? I'm really interested.
What do I want to see less of? I do want to see less of like educational stuff without the actual implementation stuff. So I see a lot of people like, to get this, you got to do this. But then people don't talk about the how. Like, how can you start to do that? How can you implement that? I also want to see less of like, and everyone talks about this, less of like, you know, talking as if people don't know what they're doing, because at the end of the day, I think part of the issue in the industry right now is there's so much education everywhere and everyone's talking education. Implementation and how to do that is one thing, but I think a lot of coaches need to work on educating themselves so that they can educate their client on the mindset element. And so I find that there's a lot of like people saying you just need to be in a calorie deficit, or you just need to be weight training, or you just need to be doing this. And it's like a lot of people already know that. It's not about what they know, it's about getting the support and accountability on how to implement that. And a lot of that comes back to mindset. So that's what I'd love to see, kind of like that kind of answers both. That's what I want to see more of, but it's also what I want to see less of.
Yeah.
Because I find, it's, as coaches, we're here to help people with the implementation, but we're too busy screaming education that we're not actually then getting our point across on like, this is how you do it.
Love it.
I like that. That's
Love
really good. Is there anything that you see coming at all on socials? Or is that like what you see coming?
Well, obviously personal brand's been a huge thing for a while. And I do find, and I think that this year personal brand's going to take over completely. I think business brand is important to have just for a little bit of like clarity on who you are, what you do, and also to have a bit of a backbone in your offers and your services. But I definitely think personal brand's going to start to take the complete run in terms of how people find you, how they connect with you, and whether they want to buy from you or not. We're already seeing like a massive shift in that anyway over the last few years, but I do believe that that's going to really take off. And it's kind of one of those things where if you don't have a personal brand, you're going to get left behind. That's how I view it. I think as well, a lot of like the influencer style posts are coming back. I don't love it. I don't hate it. I just think it's important.
What do you mean by influencer style posts?
So like I'm noticing a lot more these days, like in the last probably 6 months, of everyone jumping on like the trends, everyone jumping on the what I eat in a day's, train with me videos. Like they've always been big, but I'm noticing that they're getting bigger and bigger, and it's because everyone loves short form content. So like I'm noticing particularly on Instagram, there's a lot of short form content where it might be like 7-8 second videos, or there's like, this is how my life is, get involved. And I don't think that they're necessarily bad, but I think we're going to see a lot more of it. And it's just, how do you stand out from the crowd if you're posting that sort of stuff, but so is everybody else.
There's unique ways to do it.
Definitely. But I think the issue with finding your unique ways, you need to know who you are and what your voice is first. So like if you can get clear this year on not just creating a personal brand, but who is your personal brand? What does that look like? What is your message? When you get clear on that, it's a lot easier to stand out when doing the same or similar posts to everyone else as well.
So go back and do your ideal customer.
Go back and listen to our last one.
Yeah, on who is your ideal customer, and it'll help you figure out what to post. When you said 7 or 8 second videos, it just brought me back to Vine days. And does anybody else? Were you a part of Vine days?
No.
Oh man,
I never
never on
jumped
Vine.
on that, but I knew it was huge.
It was
I was a
so-
YouTuber.
it was so funny. Like it was so good. And then now when I see like a good 7 or 8 second video pop up, there's always someone in the comments that's like, this would have slapped on Vine. Like, but yeah, Well, yeah, very interesting. There was so much good information.
That was a long podcast too.
Yeah.
I can talk for 10 years.
Literally. It's a sickness, really.
You should not move to Brisbane because if you're in the office, I feel like
We'd never get anything done.
Yeah. But I hope you guys found a lot of helpful education and tips in that episode. But thank you so much for coming on today. And you guys might seeing a little bit more of Steph around from now.
Yeah.
Which is
Well,
very
if you
exciting.
sign up with us, you definitely will.
Well, yeah, you're going to have no choice then. I'll be here.
But thank you so much for listening, everybody. And we'll talk to you next week.